welcome to this Inflammation Nation workshop as we talk about literally one of the underlying causes of disease in America, but worldwide. And one of the biggest things that I want to talk about is the mindset behind the supposed cures and causes. And so just kind of get a bearing of what we think is going on. Can we all agree that in the last 50 years we've seen America getting sicker and sicker? Raise your hand if you agree. All right, right? As we look at it, we see more things getting worse across all areas. We see our children getting sicker. And there's this question of why. What's going on? And so let's talk about the mindset behind trying to fix something. So if we know that something's going wrong and we keep doing the same thing over and over again, is that going to make it better? No? Okay. So wait a second. Let's change it some more. What if we do more of the same thing? Will that make it better? No. So, Albert Einstein said that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result was the definition of insanity. And so we got to discuss why I had to insert in this a 27 up next to that breakdown at 50. The biggest thing about this is that our mindset determines our actions determine our outcomes, and those outcomes are either positive or negative, and they reinforce our behaviors. And as a society, this is where we're stuck. We have this mindset from the outside in that somebody is telling us that our health comes from the outside in, that we're broken, we have a design flaw, and there is something that they can give us that will fix us. But the fact is Genesis 1:27, God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female, created he them. So if that resonates with you, then we're not created wrong. The design was good. So why aren't we experiencing the health that we should? There's a breakdown somewhere, right? Because we already agreed that everybody's getting sicker. And we can't keep doing the same thing. So one of the biggest things is that this is the reality. We are literally, as a nation, I know we all experience it, we see it, we see more rates of cancer. We understand these things, but this is the stats. We're spending $635 billion with a B, not an M, a B, annually, to treat inflammatory-related conditions. 3 out of 5 deaths globally relate to this. 90% of the things that people experience as aging isn't aging. It is inflammation. We have blue zones around the world. There are 12 of them that regularly people live vitally to age 100 and over as active members of society. So we have these examples that say there's a breakdown. We're doing something wrong. And one of the biggest things is that if we're going to experience something different, and we were created with a design, then what's wrong is that we're no longer operating in alignment with that design. The more that you go against the grain of anything, the harder it is to exist, right? It's harder to swim upstream than downstream. And we go on and on. Right now, currently, 60 to 70% of American adults are on at least one prescription medication and they're never predicted to get off of it. 20% are on 5 or more prescription medications daily, never expected to get off of them, expected to get worse over time and need more medications to deal with the side effects of those medications. In 1974, children born 1 in 10,000 were considered on the autism spectrum. 1 in 10,000. Today it's 1 in 34. And if you only look at boys, it's 1 in 24. 1/4 of males being born today are on the autism spectrum. Meaning that the mothers and our lifestyle, because they're usually diagnosed somewhere between at birth and by 5 years old. So somewhere in there, they are so toxically damaged, either in utero or after birth, that they literally have a neurodevelopmental disorder. They are on a spectrum of a neurodevelopmental disorder that all happens within certain neurodevelopmental windows. And I'll show you one of those windows in a little while. But I hope that's as infuriating to you as it is me. I mean, I have 4 kids. 2 of them are back here. One's recording, and one's off getting his stuff ready to go to college. And so I'm like, it really just, it ticks me off. Like, as a matter of fact, like, it's hard not to be angry. It's hard to still come from a place of love and respect when this is what I'm supposed to be bringing my children up in. This is what their peer group is expecting. The reason I had 27 written next to 50, right? We used to all have the parties. Hey, I remember 12 years ago when I had my 40th birthday, and you're over the hill and all the balloons and stuff, and then you're supposed to be seeing decline maybe around 50. The Blue Cross Blue Shield did the millennials study, and they looked at that generation, and they said major health decline in that generation started at age 27. 27. Life expectancy for the first time in human history is continuing to go down for our children. So we can't keep being insane and doing the same thing. And this is the sign, this is the lie, this is the thing that happens. This major medical complex that calls itself healthcare creates enemies to keep us all distracted in the lie. The lie of the enemy is to keep you looking over here at this shiny thing, get you all upset, and take your eye off what really is valuable. And that value is that we are created in this image, and we're supposed to be reflecting that back, and what's getting in the way of that is something that we are doing to ourselves. It's not the design. And so chronic inflammation is just the next new villain. Like cholesterol was, right? It was cholesterol. And then, you know what? It's not cholesterol. It's LDL, just one part of cholesterol. Okay, LDL's not really the problem. It's inflammation. There'll be something else. And all of them are busy keeping us distracted. Because we live in a world that was created with laws of cause and effect, right? You don't jump off a building and expect to fly just because you want to, right? That's not what happened, right? You know gravity is a law. You don't try to defy it until you've designed something that beats the laws of aerodynamics, and then you fly. That's right? Yes or yes? Right? So why are we trying to live in a way and live in this lie where people tell us that 90%, it's admitted across all platforms, the CDC, everyone admits that 90% of chronic disease is lifestyle related. But the lie is, live however you want. You can pharmaceutical your way out of the problem you lifestyled your way into. Don't worry, we'll give you a pill for that. Your blood pressure's high? We can lower that. Just keep living. Those cheeseburgers are helping you. Oh man, you have diabetes? We'll take this metformin. You can still keep eating donuts. Like whatever the lie is that keeps us captivated with the fact that you cannot pharmaceutical your way out of a problem you lifestyled your way into. The lifestyle is creating 90% of disease. Therefore, lifestyle is 90% of the solution. And the cool thing about that is then becomes personal responsibility, but you need knowledge and you need a platform to do it, right? Because out there, if you go to the doctor, what are you getting? You're stepping into that system. And then you get those stats because you're a part of the system. So the only way to have different results is to not be a part of the system. We utilize it. Don't get me wrong. When I fell off the roof of the building and ruptured my shoulder, I didn't go get adjusted. I had surgery, right? And thank God for Dr. Smalley. Love the guy. Great surgeon. And I still remember this. I gave him, we were at a party outside of this thing for a block party, and he was there this weekend, and we were sitting next to each other watching football, and I was like, dude, that was so funny Because he woke me up and he was like, dude, that was way worse than I thought. And he was like, you got a lot of healing to do, big guy. And he just like did, and I was like, but it resonated with me. He knew that he had done what he could to put my stuff back together. And then he woke me up and said, dude, you got a lot of healing to do. He didn't say, I healed you. He knew that innate intelligence, the way God made us, our soul, our spirit, whatever you want to call it, the science word is innate intelligence, that is what's running our body. It's the immeasurable quantity that is working for us. But it lives in this body that has physical limitations of matter. It can only use what we give it, right? It's running off of the fuel, the building blocks that we give it. So the system is flawed because you don't have a medical deficiency. You don't need another pill. What we need is not more help, we need less interference. The new platform is something that we call the 5 Essentials. These posters aren't decoration, they're representations of what is written down in this book, The 5 Keys to Health. There is a chapter on nutrition. We're about to do the Cliff Notes version of it. And then there's a chapter on exercise, a chapter on detoxification, a chapter on mindset, and then there's a chapter on chiropractic. And the reality is that the science supports this is in this book, Dr. Casey Means, Good Energy. I think everyone should read this. This is, if you want to understand what's happening to your mitochondria that produce energy at a cellular level and you want to improve it, this is your tool book. If you want to understand what we've done in Max Living to create the habits that allow you to implement these things in your life, James Clear's Atomic Habits. Between all of them are on audiobook too. They're awesome. So you can listen to these going here and there. Between these 3 things, you really have, and this is like, this should be a bundle that I give all my son's friends for their graduation. He wouldn't like it, but it wouldn't be that cool, but it would be very handy. Because tonight we're going to be talking about literally how to live this out, where the results that you get are what you should be getting. So from a nutritional standpoint, we don't live to eat. We eat to live. Understanding that literally every time a cell divides in you, so everything's on different reproductive schedules. Literally, one of the things we're going to talk about is the digestive tract, from rooter to tutor, as they say, is 1 cell layer thick. It's 1 cell layer thick. And in 3 to 5 days, it's all brand new. The skin going through you in that tube is brand new in 3 to 5 days. Your bones take about 7 years. Your liver's every 2 years. Your blood's brand new every 120 days. So when we look at these different schedules, we can utilize this information to know that literally your DNA is made from what you gave it. The DNA, your chromosomes are built by enzymes, machinery, that open the DNA up, copy and replicate it, and then it folds itself back together. It makes a copy of itself. The old cell dies, the new cell lives on. So if you're eating a completely commercialized, synthetic, highly processed food, your DNA, down to the cellular level, is made of that. And when we think about it like that, it's not like it's made, that's what it is. It's all it has. And so when we look at these things, processed food promotes inflammation at a genetic level. And so when we look at these things, what are some easy wins? Fighting inflammation is, let's see if I can make this work. There we go. Fighting inflammation. We need to get rid of the sugars, the bad oils, excessive alcohol. We need to get rid of bad fats. That's one of the things I left off that slide. Trans fats, bad fats. Because every cell membrane of your body is made up of fat. So when we look at these things, seed oils, right? Hopefully people are hearing a lot about this lately, how bad and rancid, bad fat the seed oils are. So your options to replace those are avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil. All those matter. And looking at, like Dr. Gundry, if you've watched any of his videos, it's mainly about like looking at where was it made, how many different places is it coming from, the color of the bottle it's stored in, the temperature it was processed at, and learning to read those food labels. That goes for coconut oil, that goes for avocado oil, that goes for all those things, so that we get rid of the fats that are bad and toxic to us. We reduce the inflammatory markers. Literally eating a high processed food diet raises your general inflammation marker, CRP. Should be on your blood work. CRP is a general inflammation marker. So, when you get your comprehensive metabolic panel, your liver enzymes, that tells you how inflamed your liver is. If you've had a heart attack, troponin is what measures the amount of damage to the heart muscle. When you look at inflammation in the cardiovascular system, you can look at homocysteine and ApoB, and so there's different blood markers that, as we are patients and as we're going through this, if I'm on your healthcare team, well then those are what our conversations are about. It's about your blood work. It's about your exercise schedule. It's about your nutrition, your detoxification. So we want to get this inflammation, this CRP level, as low as possible. How do we do that? With the understanding that every health-related question from now on filters through a new mind, a renewed mind. A renewed mind that says, I might be experiencing a symptom, but that symptom is not the problem. The high blood pressure isn't the problem. The diabetes isn't the problem. The cancer is not the problem. The cause of cancer, the cause of diabetes, the cause of high blood pressure, that's the problem. And if we get rid of the cause, then our innate intelligence that we were born with and gifted will fix it if we get to it in time. Which is the mindset that I want to ingrain in the community, which is that we need to raise generations like this so that we stop handing down the legacy of disease that I hear everywhere. Well, yeah, doc, I have these things, but that's what runs in my family. I'm going to spare your purse. All right. And set that there. No worries, the carpet, I have 4 kids that run through here. That ain't me. But the thing is that if we don't start to filter this through cause and effect, then the next Tell You a Vision advertisement or the next Facebook thing or the next all these things, they're going to market a biohack. Well, the further we hack your chemistry out of alignment with the body, now not only does the body have the problem, but it's got altered physiology. That's the same thing with pharmaceuticals. Why would we want to take our bodies further out of alignment? That's not the point. The point is to get back in alignment with the way the body works. So let's talk about a healthy microbiome, a healthy gut, whatever you want to call it. It has certain bacteria in it, and we'll talk about some of those in a minute. It has, literally, it's 1 cell layer thick. So let's think about this reasonably. The lining of your gut is 1 cell layer thick. That is microscopic. It's thinner than paper. It's coated in mucus, and all the food that you eat travels through it. So is it, when people talk about having thin skin, is it easy to damage it? And then if it's damaged and you keep irritating it, is it possible that it gets ulcerated? Maybe it gets infected. Now in the gut, we can call it Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. We can give it a fancy name. But either way, that area is damaged and it's not healing. So here we are, we're sitting in this damaged area. Well, let's compare the two. We got healthy bacteria, increased mucus production, short-chain fatty acids. Like one of the things we can measure in the gut is the amount of short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. things like this. And so we can look at the amount of lipopolysaccharides. The epithelial layer should be knitted together by these tight junctions. And the only thing getting through is the nutrition that our cells pump through into this lumen that sits right next to the blood vessel. And it gets absorbed into the blood vessel, and then all that nutrition's pumped off to the rest of the body to be built new us, new kidney, new liver, whatever that is. Well, once this is damaged, one cell layer thick, now all of a sudden the bacterial environment is off. If you're not eating fermented foods and you're not eating things to help replace this, now you're getting junk coming in here. Let's talk about it with, let's say it's gluten. So now all of a sudden gluten's getting into that lumen, and it happens to have certain molecules on it that resemble connective tissue. So your immune system's doing its job. Autoimmunity is a problem where your body starts to recognize some of your tissues as a pathogen. Your immune system's doing its job. It was introduced to whatever looked like it in here, and it creates, and if this never heals, then that immune system's got to keep going. Otherwise, like I was at his orthodontic appointment the other day, and I don't usually watch commercials or watch TV very much, so I'm sitting there, and this commercial comes on, and I'm like, oh, here we go, here's the list. It was for chronic kidney disease. So CKD, and it had these turtles, and they were running really slowly to the finish line. And they were to represent how fast you would get to kidney failure if you were on their medication, Jardiance. And so it was supposed to be inspiring. Okay, so now they've got these little turtles and they're racing and they get to the finish line and it's really slow. And it says, you know, all the typical ones, right? Listed, you know, stroke, heart attack, cancer, this, that, the other. And then one got my attention. I'm sitting there listening and I hear chronic infection of the genitals and anus that are life-threatening, right? I'm like, whoa, they just said those words like in a lobby, and now they're infected? Whoa, this is bad. I'm like, dude, like, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, okay, I'm not listening to this stuff anymore. I got up and left. You know, I go out and, you know, stretch outside, because what it was saying though is literally, what happens is that if you shut down the immune system with that medication, it stops this. And then if what's getting through is poop, well, you're going to have an infection in the genitals and anus, and it'll kill you. All so that you can slow some kidney disease down. Well, how about we be one of the dozens of people that we've had just reverse their kidney disease? Go back to 90+% kidney function. Why don't we just fix it instead of dying of a genital infection? Just don't make any sense. But people think this is their option, right? I mean, if you don't know that you have an option, you can't choose to go there. So that's one of the biggest problems, is that chiropractors, Max Living, you know, we can point the finger in any direction, but in general, we have not publicized well enough that there is an alternative to medicine. Not alternative medicine, but an alternative to it. And it's called a lifestyle, a way of living that is it's planting, cultivating, and harvesting health that can be passed down, just like how to do anything. It's a behavior. It's a way of living. And that's one of the biggest things that I want to see happen in this community by the time I hopefully hand this off to one of the kids, is that this is just what happens for people. Easy wins. Let's talk about quantity. So, I mean, Thanksgiving's coming up. Typically after Thanksgiving meal, you know, you're sitting around, you're eating, and Aunt Mary's sweet potato pie and so-and-so's, you know, whatever. And typically when that meal's over, like, y'all usually get out in the yard and play tackle football or go on a jog, right? No. Right? No. Ladies barely make it to the couch, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, like, can I even stay awake for the game? You know, and then everybody's passing out. Why? Quantity. You realize it then that you just ate so much food that every bit of energy you have is digesting that meal. So now let's talk about the day-to-day thing. When we're talking about your gut lining, the average American eats for 15 hours a day and has 11 eating events. Why? Because snacks count, calorie drinks count. So they did some studies at Stanford, and they were looking at if you just took, and we're going to talk about, if you just take the eating window and compress it from 15 hours even down to 12, you're going to have better insulin sensitivity and lowered inflammation markers. But if you compress that all the way down to 8, which we're going to now give a fancy name, intermittent fasting or whatever, then now your inflammation markers are even better. So when we look at these things, we're going to talk about quantity matters, right? If you overwhelm your body with food, either in one sitting or multiple sittings, your inflammation is going up and down. Your insulin's going up and down, up and down. And that's inflammatory. So right now, dealing with quantity, dealing with the quality, right? So Iron Roots Pastures is here, and we're going to be raffling off a bag of bones to make bone broth out of. Your own real bone broth. Like, so really cool. And Gigi's is here because what they're doing is regenerative, organic, farmed. It's beef, it's pork, it's chicken, it's milk, it's eggs, and it's delivered and able to be picked up at your appointments. And then Gigi, she takes the milk and makes the kefir and the yogurt, and takes einkorn wheat, which is an ancient grain lower in gluten already, and then makes sourdough breads out of it. So it's fermented as well. Again, releasing more of the health potential inside of it. And this is the things that you can have delivered, and now that you're eating better. This is the bread we've switched over to using and things for our kids' sandwiches. So that they're here to fill that gap locally. Let's talk about omega-3s to reduce inflammation. So if you've been living and eating an inflammatory nutrition that's deficient in omega-3s, so the average American is out of balance, right? It's omega-3, 6, and 9, but they're meant to be in a ratio. So they're supposed to be right around that 1-to-1. You can have about 3-to-1 of omega-6. The average American is 20-to-1. 20 times more omega-6 in their diet than omega-3. So if you've been not eating olive oil, coconut oil, grass-fed beef, wild-caught salmon, and that hasn't been your staple, then you're going to be in that out of balance. So simply reducing, using the concept that says, I don't want to treat your inflammation with a pill that is now natural, that's an omega supplement. All disease relates back to a deficiency in something, a toxicity in something, or a lack of control. Something's gotten out of control, like in autoimmunity. The immune system's out of control. The only way to stop the autoimmunity is to reboot the immune system. I'm going to give you the best way how in just a few minutes. So the idea, though, is if you are so out of balance, we might have to saturate you to a point so that your body can absorb enough of those healthy fats to shut down the inflammation. Sounds like we're just using semantics, but the intention is very important. So as far as supplements go, the omegas, the Foundation 3. Why do we need to change supplementation? Number one, bioavailability, or how well it's absorbed, and literally coming from a place of trying to saturate a body to remove deficiencies and minimize toxicity. So we need a pure source, we need something that we can absorb, and we need it in the quality and quantity that it's studied at. So how many people have heard of ashwagandha, right? Yeah. Great adaptogen. You go buy it, you take it, and you go, I'm feeling different. What the world, right? Well, it's not at the clinically studied dose. It's not in the type or the quantity that it was supposed to be in. So of course you don't get any results. So when we talk about the rest of the supplement industry, what happened is Jordan Rubin sold his company, created another company with Josh Axe. They sold Josh Axe's company, and now they can no longer make their own companies. So now they're designing supplements for us. And as a matter of fact, they've written a new book that we're going to be taking into different churches around the community. It's called the Biblio Diet. You might remember the Maker's Diet. Jordan Rubin wrote that many years ago. And if you look at the delivery system that they're wanting, the back of the book is an advertisement for Max Lucado. This is now the number 18 in Amazon bestseller list. It's the number 1 Christian selling book. This is already making waves, and we're going to be delivering this around the country. And one of the things that it talks about is the source. So when we look at our source, it's regeneratively farmed, organic, bovine, and it's organ meats. So what they're doing is they're taking the thyroid, the adrenals, the pancreas, the spleen, the kidneys, the liver, all of these things, and sourcing these vitamins out of them so that they're already methylated by a mammal. They're in our absorbable form. And that means that things like PQQ, which is the big brother to CoQ10, and energy production at the mitochondrial level. Melon extract is in there, ashwagandha, rhodiola, which is a cellular oxygenator and enzyme. This is in the cellular health and longevity. Methylated B vitamins. How many people have heard of having all the methylation genetic issues, right? Doing all this genetic testing. Well, the fact is if you put methylated B vitamins in there, now you don't have to have it. Even if you have the genetic predisposition, you can absorb these. Again, in this one, it's thyroid, adrenal, pancreas, whole fermented blackberry, red mulberry, pomegranate, and this is whole food zinc and copper. That's cellular health and longevity. Inflammation and immune support. This is the things that we're hearing so much about. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K2, but it's in the studied form is MK7. That's what's in here. And then one of the things this inflammation and immune support has going on is there are 10 different types of collagen in it that literally is sourced from eggshell membrane. So they're taking those membranes, they're getting this elastic, bioavailable, we're used to eating it for how many ever hundreds of years we've been eating eggs. And it's got turmeric and bovine spleen, thymus, and it's got fermented organic blue turmeric and green turmeric. So that's the source, the vitamins, and the clinical dosage is why we're trying to get people to switch over. The last of the digestion and detox is what I'm going to talk about last in just a couple of minutes. As far as nutrition, generalities, any particular things related to your conditions, your blood work, anything like that. Who has a question about that or supplementation so far? No question. Okay. Well, we've been going long enough that we need a boost because we're about to talk about my favorite part of this workshop. So everybody stand up. All right. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to get our blood flow. We're going to use our bodies to change our state of mind. We're going to do something called fast feet. So if you do have a knee problem, you'll want to move a little slower, but not too slow, because we're going to a 90% output. The idea is to go to 90% output and then come back down. And so we're going to be pretending like there's a fire under our feet, and we're going to stomp our feet to try to put out that fire. And we're going to go for 20 seconds. In 3, 2, 1, go. Move your feet. So we're all moving, trying not to get caught on fire. I think you might be on fire. But you know what? Just move as fast as you can. Remember, we're going as hard as we can. You want to be out of breath when this is over. And rest. So not only are we laughing, having a good time, but we're pumping oxygen, using the physiology of our body to change the state that we are in mentally. You can either use your mind to change your physiology, or you can use your physiology to change your mind. Let's all have a seat. Matthew 6, 16 through 18. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father in secret. Isaiah, is it not this, the fast that I choose, to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and break every yoke? I tell you, I went to this conference, and this guy Barrett and Dr. Terry Harmon were putting this on about cancer and their cancer protocols. And I thought to myself, wow, it's been 20 plus years since I fasted for a week. How did I forget? And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that this is something I've talked about intermittent fasting, which now is just a part of my life. So when I joined Max Living a few years ago, I was 50 pounds heavier. And changing what I eat, how I eat, using intermittent fasting, and how I exercise, I've lost 50 pounds, and I've just been able to maintain it off simply at that level. And so now it's like this reminder, I'm like, wait a second, I'm supposed to be getting better with my own nutrition. And so now I'm going to start doing this. So next week on Monday, I invite y'all to join me, Anna, my wife. We're going to do a one-day fast. We're going to get used to that. Then we're going to do, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we're going to do a 3-day fast. And then depending upon how that goes, after the new year, we're going to do a 5-day fast. And so water fast. So think about that. Let that start to resonate with you, and I'll give you the research why it's so important. So remember, we had that 1 cell layer thick. Let's just talk about food and getting better. Stanford, again, research says that if you eat the same meal at 8:30 a.m. and then eat that 9:30 a.m., eat the exact same meal at 8:30 p.m., you have a completely different blood sugar response, insulin response. We were created in a circadian rhythm. We're diurnal beings, right? We're not bats. Like, we don't wake up at night and go out and catch bugs, right? So we are light beings. So we're meant to be active and alert and awake during the day, and then at night we're supposed to rest because our vision and all the things that we were created to do don't work as well at night. But as a society now, we work indoors in artificial light. We do all these things that get us out of rhythm with our circadian biology. So the idea is to get back into that. So best research says that not eating for the first hour of waking is a good practice. I know.
I don't know. I've been doing it for a while.
Oh, okay. I thought you were groaning in pain. Because I groaned in pain. So I heard pain and I was with you. And so then the best practice is 3 hours before bed. So those are two. That's one way. Then if we condense the feeding window, they have shown time and time again, you can eat the exact number of calories. And if you do it in this 8-hour window, at least an hour after waking, in the light of the day, that's why circadian rhythm fasting, you reduce all inflammatory numbers. Across the board, insulin spikes, blood sugar spikes. So think about it. Instead of a 15-hour feeding window or a 12-hour feeding window, now we're in an 8-hour feeding window. So for 16 hours, your gut's resting. That 1 cell layer thick is actually able to heal. And it gets the rest day after day after day after day. So I've been doing intermittent fasting 3 days a week. And it fit really easy into my schedule because I like to take the kids to school and I like to have breakfast with them on 2 days a week. And that was how I justified not doing it any more than I do. And I've maintained a certain level of physical fitness. Well, so we're going to go to 5 days a week, right? That's my next move, is to transition to that. And I would encourage you, wherever you're at, even if it's just 1 day a week, this isn't about becoming perfect. None of us are going to do it, right? So with that thought, it's do I ever intermittent fast? Do I let my gut rest? Okay, I'll start doing that 1 day a week. Okay, now I'll try 2. My easier days are these days of the week. Do it on those because it fits in your schedule. Make that the new you. Measure your weight, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your whatever you want to measure, and then remeasure it after doing that for 30 days. It will be better. When we look at this AMPK is this amazing enzyme that at about that 16-hour mark, it slowly goes. At 24 hours, it's starting the bottom of the curve. But once you're into that closer to 30, heading on into 48 hours, there's a huge spike of AMPK. And what that is when we eat and we have food all around, there's junk, there's debris. Just like now in your blood work, when you look at your blood panel and you see triglycerides, Triglycerides are a blood sugar storage molecule. So the more that you've had blood or sugar in your blood, it'll attach to the way the body stores it is it shifts it over into these triglycerides. So we can look not only at your insulin, your A1C, all these things, but we can look at your triglyceride levels for inflammation. So to do that, we need to deplete glycogen or blood sugar, right? So your liver is designed to store sugar so that when you're running out of fuel, it can dump that sugar into your bloodstream and keep your blood sugar normal. So the average American eating 15, 12 hours a day, they never run out of blood sugar. So what happens is, and they've proven that the reason Americans have the highest rate of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is because there's always sugar around. So the liver stays full of sugar all the time. And sugar is inflammatory. It's meant to be like a sponge. It sucks it up, holds it, then squeezes it out, gets rid of it. You transition slowly into fat burning. Your mitochondria switch over to burning fat for fuel. And then when you eat again, now it fills back up with sugar, stores it, and you keep going through this cycle of sugar and fat and sugar and fat. But we don't ever go there because we don't ever rest. So if you'll switch over to intermittent fasting in a 16-8 window, that's about the best. They're saying that that's about the most user-friendly window from a research standpoint. And you will start to deplete the sugar in your liver and transition over into fat burning. In 30 days, most people will lose somewhere 5 to 15 pounds. 90 days, it's closer to the 15. In a year, most people have literally transformed their blood work, their body type, all of these things, simply by doing intermittent fasting. Who has a question about intermittent fasting? We're all pretty familiar with that topic, right? So instead of waiting 90 days, why not get all the 90-day results in 3 days? Do a 3-day fast. The surge of AMP-K that looks around and says, wait a second, there's all this debris sitting in this cell. It never cleans it up because there's always more sugar coming in, but once the body is hungry, like really hungry, and it's diving into ketosis, what happens is on day 2, the blood sugar is totally gone, the glycogen is completely depleted, and your body has had to switch over to burning fat. Now the really cool thing about this is that ketone bodies, right, we're in ketosis. Well, ketone bodies are natural antioxidants. So now, your body is literally creating fuel that is antioxidant. So while it's being transported to the mitochondria to be fuel, it's eating up junk in your body. Literally, AMP-K says, look around, guys. Anything you see, turn it into fuel. So the fact that's intracellular and extracellular. So they're seeing all this major research in earlier stages of dementia and Alzheimer's. Literally, they're doing before and after imaging of brains, and the plaquing is going away. Concussion syndromes, the foggy head, the people who are like, man, I just can't get out of that brain fog. Fast for 3 days. The antioxidants, beta-hydroxybutyrate is the main source of fuel. It is literally going around changing your brain, doing cleanup. And that's really cool. Autophagy or autophagy, self-eating. Autophagy. So that's what happens. And every day, by the 3rd day, if you can finish the 3rd day, lots of cleanup. 4th day, a lot. 5th day, you have reached the top of the bell curve. If you go on to day 6 and day 7, you round off the top, and every day after that, you begin to get less and less results of the autophagy. So most research is done saying that the best window is right at that 5th day. But the biggest thing about any fast is you've healed the gut lining, right? In 5 days, it's brand new. All the cells are brand new. So what are you going to put in it? Same old junk? Right? And then you start the cycle all over again? No. And just like these supplements, these are supplements. They're not replacements. We can't keep eating the same and take these and expect them to just fill the gaps. There's amazing stuff in there. You're going to be better off doing that than nothing. But it's still supposed to be supplements. So when we look at these things, breaking the fast, for every day that you fast, you need 1 day of coming off the fast. So if you do a 3-day fast, now that breaking it is the first day is things like bone broth, healthy liquids, please start to add in some fermented foods, things that are soft though, more like if you don't have a dairy allergy, you're not lactose or casein sensitive, then you can go to kefirs, to yogurts, things like this. Then second day, you're coming back into things like healthy fats and things just like avocado, something really small, maybe some olive oil or something that's really anti-inflammatory, still bone broth. And then when by the third day, we're reintroducing some really, like maybe some grass-fed beef, something really thin, again, pureed. We're eating things like more avocados, we're adding in more of the fermented foods, things like kimchi and sauerkraut and things, but you don't even want to pass those super high fibrous things through there. So on day 3, you would be steaming your vegetables. Like you want to be doing the cruciferous vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower and things like that, but they have to be steamed. And so this is how we pass soft, healthy foods back through that lining. We're coating it with healthy fats. We're creating better mucus production. And then by the time we're back onto our normal, healthier, so inside of this book, the way that we can all really eat, live, and still cook, recipes, all the ideas, is the core plan. The core plan allows healthy grains only, millet, kamut, einkorn, wheat, things like this. The advanced plan, like say you have an autoimmune condition, you have an inflammatory condition, and you're wanting to reverse it, that's the advanced plan. And the recipes are denoted so that you can know whether it's advanced plan or core plan or both. And then as we go through into this next essential, which is exercise, we'll have, there's workouts in here, there's 30-day meal plans in here. The diagram of how to eat and exist is in that book. And then if your science brain really likes it, you want to know more about how to feed your mitochondria, then we're talking about in that Casey Mead's book, is the ticket. Who has a question about fasting, something they've done? Raise your hand if you've ever done a 3 or 5 day fast. Nice. Okay. Who's done one this year? Okay. 2. And I didn't raise mine.
By choice.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You had no choice.
Yeah, exactly. Some of us have done it from a bug or something, but I don't know if that really is. It is purging though. And then that's one of the big things is we see how infrequent it is, but how easy is it to do? You're saving money. It's free.
Yeah.
You're literally saving money by cleaning up your body, and it changes this. And one of the biggest things is that I want to point out is this. When this rests, the research shows that the biggest thing that happens is that finally there's no more triggers coming into that space. And so AMP-K ends up getting so revved up and turning your white blood cells into machines that if you go on out to 5 days, many people go into viral remission of Lyme's disease, of Epstein-Barr, of herpes infections, and all of these things can be targeted because now those cells still have a flag on them, and the body's looking over it like a mongrel dog, right? It's like, I ain't gonna go mess with that when I got something over here that I need to deal with. This infection's going on all the time. I know that's over there, but I'm not gonna target it. I don't got the energy for it. Well, now the body's like, I got nothing but energy and nothing to do. I'll go clean up those cells. And so these are things, especially with repeated cycles of this. And I would suggest, just like this one that we're going to do, there's never a good time. You're never going to feel like it. It's never going to be easy. It's always going to stink. Like, I'm not going to pretty this up. But the fact is that after you do it, it is revolutionary. And I remember that, and I don't know how I deleted that information. So,
when you do go into a 5-day fast,
yes.
you realize how much time is taken out of the day in eating.
Oh.
And how much energy and more things you do in a day because you're not focusing on eating.
Absolutely.
It's cool.
And you walked me into something I forgot. Most people experience really bad symptoms, and the people who are like, number one, if you're somebody who like, you know you have blood sugar problems, you're cranky, your kids don't like it when you haven't eaten, they greet you at the door with like, hey dad, eat this, then you're somebody who's probably also dehydrated. So one of the things we're going to be raffling off is Element, because salt, when you're dehydrated, your electrolytes in your body can't process it. So most of the time, the people who have the worst results with blood sugar problems are actually also very dehydrated. So one biggest things is half your body weight in ounces of water, and then most people will need 2 elements a day to deal with the extra sodium and the magnesium and the potassium. So if you know that about yourself, and especially if you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic, I would like to warn you that you need a continuous glucose monitor to fast. And ideally you would even, especially if you're a type 1 diabetic, now you need a continuous ketone monitor to make sure you don't go into ketoacidosis. Just as a general, be safe. And then, make sure that everybody knows you're doing it. Don't go off into the woods. And we're not 40 days and 40 nights. We don't have that extra kick that he did. So right? All right? Any questions? All right. So now, everybody stand up. Here we go. So we're going to be going through punches this time. So just in case you have bad knees, now you can't have bad shoulders too. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to pretend that you have your enemy, your worst enemy right in front of you. And you get to do this without any trouble. Not getting in trouble for anybody. You get to beat them up. So here we go. On 3, 2, 1, go. As hard as you can. We're punching that person. It feels so good. Am I supposed to say that? Here we go. You ready? Come on. It's just 20 seconds. We can keep going. And rest. Maybe I should. All right. Have a seat. Move to circulate, folks. Cardiovascular is pumping blood to deliver nutrients. One of the most essential nutrients is oxygen. You can only go 6 minutes without it before your brain dead, right? Waste removal. Movement is medicine. What's the easiest win? 30 minutes a day, walking. Ideally, you would walk for 10 to 15 minutes after every meal, and that will improve your blood sugar responses by 30 to 35%. 10-minute walk. If it's only 2 meals, make it 15. You can be better if you're a sedentary worker. Then the best research is every 30 minutes, 2 minutes of activity. Air squats, doing punches, fast feet, jumping jacks, going on a walk, whatever. 2 minutes. You're opening the muscular channels. 80% of blood sugar is consumed by skeletal muscle. So when we become sedentary, we force the rest of the body to deal with that extra 80% of blood sugar. So glycation, your hemoglobin A1C. We've gotten rid of the hemoglobin. What happens is sugar oxidizes, it rusts your hemoglobin. And when it's in excess, you never want it above 5.7, right? 5.7% of your blood sugar, or your blood vessels, hemoglobin, is rusted with sugar. That's what that means. And so we always want to keep it lower because that sugar, those blood vessels are supposed to be slippery and round. They're not supposed to look like snow tires. And this is what's inflaming our arteries, is, to make it a simple comparison. Managing stress, nobody wants anything else to manage. Create some peace. Focus on the things that bring you joy. Because stress even shortens the telomeres, the end caps of your chromosomes. The more stress you have, same age, they shorten. Folks, tools of gratitude. When I'm at my best, I spend 2 minutes before I even go to the bathroom. It might be TMI, but it's like 2 minutes of just sitting there being grateful before I allow myself to go anywhere else in my day. And then it's trying to build that hour and not eat in that time. I have to give myself something to do. So it's, okay, wake up, go start the coffee. Then it's meditate. Then it's shower and get ready. By that time, enough hours gone by, and it's time to eat. If I'm going to eat, and if it's not, it's intermittent fasting. So what's your measurement? What's your normal routine? How can you level it up? Just one step. How can you level it up? Toxicity, man, this one's easy. Stop as much coming in with your nutrition. Now you're cleaner. Understand that a half an ounce of water per day helps you flush out these things. So BPA, glyphosate, all these things that we're hearing so much about. Remember, just because it says BPA free, it means that they replaced it with BPS or BPS. They had to have a plasticizer to mold the plastic. All your storage, every bit of storage foods should be glass, cast iron, or stainless steel. You should not be storing food in plastic or drinking out of plastic. Period, across the board. It increases your risk of every glandular cancer, colon, breast, testicular, ovarian, pancreatic, all of them. So when we look at this, the detox done right, half ounce per pound of body weight. You have to poop at least every day, if not after every meal. You know, it's not a popular topic, but so the idea though is, I think that this sweating 3 times to 5 times a week is very weak. We should sweat profusely every single day. If you don't, you are not using the 3rd largest detoxifier in the body. Number 1, the liver. Number 2, the kidneys. Number 3, the skin. The skin. And also maybe not slather on all these things and some aluminum deodorant to stop the sweating. Not a good idea. We know it's related to breast cancer, right? But let's talk about what we can do. Okay, so now we're lowering what's coming in. We are sweating more. We have the right hydration. We're opening up those pathways to detox the body. When we talk about supplementation, there's a bacteria out there called B. subtilis. AB22 is the studied version of that, and it's in digestion and detox. And why it's so cool is it stops the SIBO, so it's anti-SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, but its ability to detoxify glyphosate, Roundup. It literally can eat Roundup and turn it into inert things that then we continue to flush out. It doesn't absorb in it. So that's really cool that that's in there. Saccharomyces boulardii is a yeast that literally helps other healthy yeasts exist, and it is antibiotic resistant. So if you, God forbid, have to go on antibiotics, now instead of the overgrowth of yeast that most people get and the bacterial distress, no, it's going to help protect your healthy bacteria. And then it has regeneratively certified bovine liver, kidney, stomach, gallbladder, whole food selenium, and then 10 different digestive and 10 different systemic enzymes, all sat inside of some fermented green turmeric. So these are the things that we can add to next level to it with the supplementation. Who has a question about supplementation, detoxing? Questions?
I got a small question.
Yeah.
When you are on a 3 to 5 day fast, you still take your supplements with water, right?
It depends. I would not. Not these, because these are like A, D, E, and K are all fat soluble. So you're literally not going to adjust, you're literally not going to absorb some of them. And so any essential medications that someone's on, things like that, I would never suggest that you stop those. That's a discussion between you and your doctor, letting them know about, I'm going to fast, and those things. So medications is a question mark for everybody. But things like Element, things like that, your sea salts, things like that, maybe if you get some really bad energy or something like that. B vitamins are water soluble, so they're going to come in and they don't have a calorie to them. So those can be taken, but everything else should be just sort of, What else? Any other questions? Okay, best for last. This is the missing component of most people's healthcare in America, and why people should be here in a chiropractor's office for healthcare. Because we're all hearing, raise your hand if you've heard of how the rest and digest or your parasympathetic nervous system is. We're trying to stimulate that. Anybody heard of vagus nerve? Raise your hand if you've heard of vagus nerve, right? It's the big craze right now. Everybody's talking about this and how that impacts your metabolic health and your stress, your anxiety, all of these different things. This is the development of an embryo on day 16 for a 16 to 18 hour window. This is development. So the first thing to know is that in an embryo, the first structure to develop is the spinal cord. It starts as a neural groove, then it folds over on top of itself, and it forms from tail to head, called caudad to cephalad, along this ball of cells. And then once it gets to the brain, all of a sudden, magic starts to happen where the nerves go out on that ball of cell, and it tells the different somites, or the different chunks of tissue, right? We know this, right? Like if you have right shoulder pain, well then maybe your gallbladder's infected and it might not be your shoulder, right? Oh, you're having a heart attack. Oh, that might be just show up as left shoulder pain, right? Those structures develop from the same chunk around your spinal cord. Well, this is what that looks like, and think about this. This is on day 16 of pregnancy. See that white streak growing through there? Vagus. Attached to every organ in the human body. Every millisecond of your life, vagus is determining how much stretch is going on in that organ and assessing the chemistry of every organ in your body every second to change your physiology, to sit here or run, to catch a bus or whatever. And what people and what chiropractors, myself included many years ago, talked about was back pain. But the connection of your brain to every part of your body happens right through there. Vagus is literally sitting right there at the edge of the foramen magnum. And so we can talk about what controls inflammation, what contributes to it. Sure, nutrition contributes, toxicity contributes to chronic inflammation, but if you are subluxated, the only attachments for vagus to the structure of the spinal column are around the base of the occiput. Right here is the brain leaves. The skin of the brain anchors to this foramen magnum. Then the spinal cord is going through here like a tube, and the other anchor points are at C2 and C3, and then not again until the tailbone in L5. It's suspended in here with little ligaments on the outside like a trampoline at the levels, but it is anchored to C1 and C2. So if you are subluxated in the upper neck, or how about half our kids today? What are we doing? What's this? Right? Most people. People can't sit around and have engaging conversations without this device anymore. And they're like this. Well, if this is your spinal column and it's supposed to be shaped like a spring, this is what it's supposed to look like. And if you turn a banana into a reverse banana, what happens to a soft banana on the inside? And then we want to sit here and give you breathing exercises? Come on. I'm going to feed you better? That doesn't make any sense. The house of your spinal cord that connects your brain to your body is deformed, and nobody's told you about it. And we wait till it gets destroyed and has pain to talk about it. How many kids are running around with neurodevelopmental disorders, and we put them, what's one of the number one babysitter for somebody with autism? Technology? What are they doing? They're making themselves worse from a physical standpoint. And that's what I want people to know. The pain, the symptoms, the things, this is the tip of your neurological iceberg, so to speak. And that's why the office is so focused on doing exams and x-rays. That's why when you're here, if you're not a patient, you can sign up for the exam and x-rays and the report on those exam and x-rays for $60. Why? Because I want to remove the financial barrier to people just finding out, is this going on and affecting their health? It's a screening. And that's all it is. so that we can find out if the most important thing that you can never replace, right? You can lose every tooth in your head. You can get dentures. You can go without teeth, but people go to the dentist twice a year to get exam and x-rays. And they don't even know what their spine's shaped like on the inside. It's a tragedy. And it's chiropractic's fault. And we are trying to fix it. One workshop, one family, one person at a time. Making neurological help. It's functional. And it's very easy to take an exam and do some x-rays and then make sure that people are as healthy as they can be. Yes, we want you to fill in the gaps of your nutrition, especially if you've been eating poorly for many years. You've got to supplement the gaps to allow yourself to have the recovery. Otherwise, you're existing still in a deficiency. It is not the supplement that fixes you. It is not the turmeric. It is not the omegas. It is not any of that. It is giving your God-given healing potential what it needs to fill the gap. You're built to last. And it isn't an old thing. It's not just in the Bible. It's not Methuselah. People are living over 112 different regions around the world regularly, today, right now. You can go there. We just have to reproduce it. And that, my friends, that's Max Living. That's what we're here to do. That's what I want people to know is going on in Trenton, Georgia right now. So that we can save and change some lives and start having the realization of what we were created to be instead of this hell that many people are living in. So I appreciate your time. I'm glad that you came, and I hope that you leave here better able to serve yourselves. All right, thanks for coming. Let's do the raffle. All right, so bring me the things. Before you go, stuff that's cool and free. All right, so somebody, I'm going to start with the package of chicken bones for making bone broth, because I have to admit this will be the first time I've ever raffled one of these. So this is pretty unique, right? Like, hands down. Yes, go ahead, turn that on. Thanks.